What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com.
Here are my DFS picks for NFL Week 7, Thursday Night Football.
These picks apply for DraftKings and FanDuel. Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button
And hit that bell icon
so you don't miss our new videos.
Okay, in this video, I'm going to give you my top picks for the Thursday Night Football Showdown between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Denver Broncos. And if you stay to the very end after all my picks and after I show you the Draft Dashboard tools, I'll give you my super secret sleeper pick that no one's talking about. Okay guys, FanDuel and DraftKings, Week 7, Thursday Night Football, Showdown, quarterback. So we have an interesting decision tonight. If we're going to play a quarterback, we have to pick between Patrick Mahomes and Joe Flacco. Patrick Mahomes is $12,000 DraftKings salary, while Joe Flacco is only $8,000 DraftKings salary. Joe Flacco has the home game, and he's got the better matchup. It's hard to do this, but I think I've got to go with Joe Flacco from the Denver Broncos playing the Kansas City Chiefs, who are the 9th worst defense overall and give up the 7th most fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks. Joe Flacco has scored 13.4 fantasy points per game on the season. Now it's going to be hard to play him looking at his game log. He only scored 6 fantasy points last game, 10 fantasy points the game before that, but he put up 26 fantasy points 3 games ago. He's capable of a 20-plus fantasy point game, and you're going to need that from him tonight. He only rushes the ball 1.8 times per game, although he got 4 rushes and 3 rushes the game before that. That's clearly not his strength. He's a guy that likes to pass from the pocket, and he's projected at 14.8 fantasy points here tonight. Vegas thinks there's going to be 48.5 points scored in this game, and they have the Denver Broncos only trailing by 3. So that means the fantasy points from that 48.5 points should be split between these two teams. Patrick Mahomes has been a little hindered with an ankle injury. He hasn't looked himself the past couple of weeks. And Patrick Mahomes is going to be trying to pass against one of the best pass defenses in the league, giving up the 3rd least fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks. They've got an outstanding secondary, so we could see the Kansas City Chiefs try to lean towards the run game, protect Patrick Mahomes, but we expect them to score points. So Joe Flacco should be playing from behind in this game, although not at a huge margin. We know the Denver Broncos like to run the ball. They'll be doing that tonight, but that should open up some of their wide receivers like Courtland Sutton and Emmanuel Sanders to get downfield a little bit. So Flacco at home, we know they want to run the ball, but they'll probably have to pass more than they want. He's only $8,000 DraftKings salary. Patrick Mahomes is really expensive. He makes it hard to build a lineup when you plug him in there. So I like Joe Flacco here versus the Kansas City Chiefs.
Before I continue with the picks, I'm excited today because we added a new contest for everyone watching.
If you want to enter the drawing for $100 PayPal,
all you need to do is like this video, hit that subscribe button, and make a quick comment below to be entered into the drawing. We'll reply to a random comment and let you know that you won.
And then we'll send you $100 PayPal.
So it's that easy,
and we pick a new winner every Saturday and announce them in our video.
So get your comment in now so I can add another entry for you.
Okay, DraftKings and FanDuel, Week 7, Thursday Night Football, Showdown. We're looking at the running back position. So the Kansas City Chiefs have lost 2 weeks in a row, and it's been because the team has been running the ball down their throat. So we're going to expect the Denver Broncos to try that same approach because they've got 2 outstanding running backs in Phillip Lindsay and Royce Freeman. So my pick is split between these 2 guys, and I even think you can play these guys in the same lineup tonight. So Phillip Lindsay from the Denver Broncos playing the Kansas City Chiefs, who are the 9th worst defense overall, and they give up the 5th most fantasy points to opposing running backs. Phillip Lindsay has averaged 16.7 fantasy points per game on the season. He got 16 fantasy points last game. He put up a big 28 fantasy points the game before that. So he's got top end upside. He's rushing the ball an average of 14 times per game, and he gets 4.3 pass targets per game. So almost 18 touches on average per game. He's on the field for 49% of the snaps, and he touches the ball 56% of that time. He's projected at 15.9 fantasy points here in Week 7. He's more expensive than Royce Freeman, but that's because he's been a little bit more productive. Projected at 15.9 fantasy points here tonight. He's got a great matchup, so I like Phillip Lindsay here versus the Kansas City Chiefs. And the other running back on that team, who's actually playing a little more of the snaps, playing 54% of the snaps compared to Phillip Lindsay's 49%. That's Royce Freeman from the Denver Broncos. He's averaged 10.7 fantasy points per game on the season. He scored 13 fantasy points last week. He got 11 rushes in that game and 5 pass targets. So he touched the ball 16 times in that game. He averages 11 rushes per game and 4.3 pass targets per game, just like Phillip Lindsay. These guys got similar volume. Royce Freeman touches the ball 43% of the time, and Phillip Lindsay touches it 56% of the time. So these guys are really close right down all the stat lines. He's projected at 13 fantasy points here tonight, and he's considerably less salary than Phillip Lindsay. So he makes an interesting play here. Great matchup on the ground. So I like Royce Freeman here versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Okay guys, if you're getting any value from this video, please hit that red subscribe button. We put out new fantasy football videos every day. So if you hit that subscribe button and ring that bell notification, you won't miss out on any of our new fantasy football videos. Tons of free stuff coming your way. It only takes a second, and it helps us push out more fantasy football content for you guys to consume each and every day. It's because of you subscribers that make this possible. So thank you for supporting this channel. Okay, DFS Week 7, Thursday Night Football Showdown. We're looking at the wide receiver position. So I know I've picked a lot of Denver Broncos, and it may be tempting to go with Tyreek Hill or a guy like Mecole Hardman from the Kansas City Chiefs. Both of those guys can stretch the field and make a lot of fantasy points real quick. They can both have huge games, but I just want you to consider a couple of things. If we take a look at the list that we put up every week, the top 10 worst wide receiver and cornerback matchups, we got Tyreek Hill listed as number 5 with a bad matchup versus Chris Harris, who's only giving up 0.19 fantasy points per route. And we think Tyreek Hill is going to be getting that shadow coverage from Chris Harris. And then we take a look down here, Mecole Hardman, number 10 on the list. He's going to be covered by Duke Dawson, who's only giving up 0.15 fantasy points per route. So we got the Mahomes ankle injury, and then we've got the bad matchups for Tyreek Hill and Mecole Hardman. Hey, I'm going to have those guys in some lineups. I'm not fading those players, but for the salary, I like Courtland Sutton from the Denver Broncos playing the Kansas City Chiefs, who have the 9th worst defense overall, and they're middle of the pack defending opposing wide receivers. Courtland Sutton has averaged 16.5 fantasy points per game on the season. He scored 12, 19, and 24 fantasy points in his last 3 games. He's had consistent production, averaging 7.7 targets per game. He's on the field for 91% of the snaps and touches the ball 13% of that time. He's projected at 14.4 fantasy points here tonight. That's only 2 points less than Tyreek Hill, but you're going to get this guy at a much cheaper price. So I like Courtland Sutton here versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Now the one thing to consider here is that Sammy Watkins has been ruled out for this game. So that is going to be an increased target count for guys like Tyreek Hill, Mecole Hardman, Demarcus Robinson, Travis Kelce, and Byron Pringle. Real quick guys, I got great news. For a limited time, we're offering a full 30-day trial to Draft Dashboard. You can try all the tools for NFL, MLB is still going, NBA is right around the corner. This is a great time to get in and try everything for 1 month. The tools are all about saving research time. You can see the last 3 games, the fantasy points per game, the targets they got per game, so you can see how involved they are in the offense, the rushes they got per game. Seeing all this stuff on one screen helps you save time and make better picks. Oh, and if you're tired of doing research every day, we just added a cheat sheet that shows hand-picked plays for the slate. No confusing stat lines, no headaches, just a simple cheat sheet that shows the absolute best players for your lineups. Week 7, DraftKings and FanDuel, Thursday Night Football, Showdown, tight end. Finally, we're getting to a pick from Kansas City. I like Travis Kelce from the Kansas City Chiefs playing the Denver Broncos, who have the 5th best defense overall and give up the 9th fewest fantasy points to opposing tight ends. So the Denver Bronco defense is good, but Travis Kelce has averaged 15.1 fantasy points per game on the season, and a lot of people think he's been underperforming this year, myself included. He hasn't had that breakout big touchdown game that we've been looking for, especially for the fantasy price we've been paying for him. He's averaging 8.2 targets per game, so he's getting the looks. He's on the field for 89% of the snaps, touches the ball 14% of that time. That's monster usage for the tight end position. He just hasn't been able to find the end zone. Only 1 touchdown so far this season. He is due for a big game. Projected at 13.5 fantasy points here in Week 7. The 48.5 points in this game is a pretty big total by Vegas. They've got the Kansas City Chiefs ahead by 3. The points gotta come from somewhere. I know he's not in the best matchup in the world, but a lot of the attention is going to be pulled to Tyreek Hill, who had a productive outing in his first game back from injury last week, and he's going to be looking to stretch the field, go deep. They'll probably have to pull some double coverage his way, leaving Travis Kelce with the one-on-one matchups, which I think he can beat. So I like Travis Kelce here versus the Denver Broncos.
If you want to try all these daily fantasy tools for yourself, click the link in the description below this video or just go to draftdashboard.com. You can use our DFS lineup optimizer to build quality lineups using our picks and your own custom player pool. Click the link in the description below this video and try all these daily fantasy tools right now. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can get instant updates whenever we post a new video.
You've unlocked the bonus content. My super secret sleeper pick for this Week 7 Thursday Night Football Showdown is Noah Fant from the Denver Broncos playing the Kansas City Chiefs, who have the 9th worst defense overall, and they give up the 8th most fantasy points to opposing tight ends. Noah Fant has averaged 5.6 fantasy points per game on the season, so that's not a huge number, but he's been somewhat productive. He got 4 fantasy points last game, only 2 the game before that, but he put up 11 fantasy points 3 games ago, so he can find the end zone. He's getting an average of 3.2 targets per game. He's on the field for 69% of the snaps, so he's out there running routes. He's got a great matchup this week versus a weak Kansas City pass defense. Their secondary is banged up. It's not good. So I like Noah Fant, and this guy will give you a ton of salary relief. He's projected at 6.2 fantasy points here in Week 7. He's only $3,400 DraftKings salary, so he's going to allow you to fit a lot of other talent onto your lineup. It's a risky play, high risk, high reward play here. He should have low ownership, but he'll be in the winning lineup if he finds the end zone. So I like Noah Fant here versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smiggity smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite player for this NFL slate. I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again and good luck. Do you want more fantasy football picks? Check out the video linked right in the middle of the screen. If you got any value from this video, please tap that subscribe button before you get out of here and ring that bell notification so you won't miss our daily fantasy football uploads. We're putting out new videos every day, so I don't want you guys to miss any of our free content.